Checkmate Showdown by Monovoid Entertainment and Bad Res Games. This new release combines the world of chess and fighting games in the same way the meme sport chess boxing combines chess with actual physical combat. Now before we go any further, I want to preface this by saying I don't know how to play chess. I don't even know the names of all the pieces. I am a fighting game player who saw something with fighting games attached to it and wanted to check it out. Accessibility and onboarding have been pretty big topics of discussion in the fighting game space for the past few years, so I was really interested in seeing if Checkmate Showdown could potentially be used as a middleman in bringing new players into full-blown fighting games like your Street Fighters and Tekkens. In that respect, the game does a little bit of everything to expose new players to a variety of fighting game mechanics by making smart use of different situations that can arise during chess. Raw, Checkmate Showdown has 4 buttons, light and heavy attacks, along with a jump button and a throw button. The game even offers a dash button if you prefer dashing that way. If you've got some blue meter to play with, you gain access to 1-button special moves. The game doesn't have motion inputs, and I think that's to its benefit. Checkmate Showdown is a chess game first and a fighting game second, so having motion inputs would likely negatively impact the potential enjoyment of its primary audience. For that same reason, it has a very simple combo system. In basically every fighting game, combos that do upwards of 30% of your opponent's health require a decent amount of practice to learn, but that's not the case here. Checkmate Showdown's combo system feels like it was designed with button mashers in mind, as you can get a good amount of damage out of mashing the light and heavy buttons once you break your opponent's guard. Unless you really want to optimize your damage output, you can just mash. Light into heavy into special, a baby could figure that out, and that's all the combo theory you need to get pretty far in the fighting game aspect of Checkmate Showdown. Of course, the fighting game player with better fundamentals will always win out in these situations, but a new player can instantly feel like they have some degree of high power. But there's more to it in the situational moments I mentioned earlier. I don't know what these situations are called, but bear with me. Different game states can trigger one of 2 different fighting game mechanics to be added to your play. The first is the addition of a yellow super meter that goes above your health bar and is done by hitting both triggers on a standard controller. The second gives the player a taste of team fighters when you gain access to an assist character. You won't see fighting games add and subtract mechanics between matchups and the like, so this does give Checkmate Showdown its own bit of intrigue and would, in theory, give smart chess players the room to work toward forcing these states of added mechanics to their benefit in the fighting game portion. As you've been seeing throughout the video, different chess pieces have different fighter properties, and as you'd expect, some matchups feel way better than others. So as much as you could force states of added mechanics to your benefit, you could also go matchup hunting. Seeing how different each chess piece is from one another in combat has been really fun, and the team behind the game obviously made an effort to show new players some of the cooler elements of fighting game character design. We've got an armored grappler, a pseudo-puppet character, and the king has a special move where he sends out his pawns like minions to hold the enemy still. On its face, it's extremely understandable and accessible for people that have never touched a fighting game. But if you're like me and you're coming into this having never played chess, Checkmate Showdown makes no effort to teach you how to play it. In-game, the places you can move with a selected character do glow different colors so you can't make an illegal move, but that's the most the game attempts to teach you how to play. There's no tutorial, no lessons, no tips and tricks, no anything, and I think that's where the game really shoots itself in the foot. Comparatively, I think you can have a lot more fun going into a fighting game blind than you can going into chess blind. The rules of fighting games are incredibly simple just by looking at the screen of any given game state. The way you win is by hitting your opponent until their health bar is empty. With fighting games, a new player can do flashy moves and land some random combos and see their opponent's health bar drain without knowing much of anything. But with a game like chess with a lot of individual moving pieces and a not immediately apparent set of win conditions, it can leave new players incredibly confused with what they're trying to accomplish. I think I would like Checkmate Showdown a lot more if it had a few in-game tutorials that brought me up to speed with the basics of the game. Teach me the most minimal number of things I need to know so I can start playing chess with some degree of intentionality. I specified that the tutorial must be in-game because Checkmate Showdown does have a link to chess.com as part of its main menu, which itself hosts lessons for how to play chess. That was not the right decision. As much as it would seem like Checkmate Showdown and chess.com would work in tandem with each other, making a player have to leave your game completely just to learn how to play it is not a good thing. I really like the aesthetic and the music and the vibe of Checkmate Showdown, so it's a bit discouraging that the place I must go to learn how to play the Checkmate portion of the game's name is not coming under that same atmosphere. It would be like if you're trying to date someone and they tell you to go to their best friend to learn about their likes and dislikes. I'm not trying to date your best friend, why can't you just tell me? I'm playing the game because I like how it looks, I like how it sounds, and the part of it that I know, I like how it feels. I want to learn in the atmosphere that Checkmate Showdown has created, but they haven't given me the tools to. It's frustrating because they do get this right with the fighting game portion. They have a fully functional training mode complete with a record and playback function for you to learn how to play each piece as a fighter with. Given that the major gimmick of this game was that you could fight with the chess pieces, it seems like the developers didn't account for people coming from fighting games without any chess experience and therefore made no attempt to teach them the ropes. This speaks to a broader issue the game has, a lack of content. You have online play, local multiplayer, and versus CPU, and that's it. If this game was free to play, I wouldn't have an issue with it, but Checkmate Showdown is a $20 game with the minimum number of modes needed to function. It's not worth $20. For $20, you at least expect an arcade mode, and Checkmate Showdown doesn't even offer that. The potential modes that should have been included seems obvious. To go along with an arcade mode, a tutorial on how to play both elements of the game should have been a given. The fighting is basic enough, but even then, give new players something there to learn from. The chess aspect, you have the world at your fingertips. Teach us the basics of chess, teach us different beginner strategies, put us in different mid-game situations as trial modes. Those all seem like they should have been included from the very start of development for Checkmate Showdown, but they're nowhere to be found. I'm sure chess.com has all of those modes and options and helpful elements, but again, I should not be forced to learn about you from your best friend. You should teach me about you. The more I look at Checkmate Showdown, the more it seems like they didn't prepare to have a casual audience of people that didn't play chess or fighting games. They give you nothing, they treat it like you already know how to play both when all of the promotional material in the build-up to the game's release was getting eaten up by casual players who just found it funny that they're combining chess with fighting games. There should have been more of an effort to get those people in on the ground floor and keep them there. Even the most content-lacking fighting games still gave you an arcade mode. I know I'm harping on that one point, but it really sticks to why wasn't that there? I know chess might not be the best game for doing one match after another and trying to just get to an endpoint, but it still would have been better than nothing, which is what the game gives you. Nothing outside of playing online, playing your friend, or playing the CPU. There's no modes to this game. I know using Steam charts is like a cardinal sin amongst the people I associate with in the indie fighting game scene, but just look at this. This is a month after the game's release, and it has a 6-player 30-day average, after all the goodwill it fostered with both communities, chess and fighting games. All of the footage you've been seeing for this video has been me playing the CPU, because after waiting 45 minutes in the online queue, I just gave up. Why hasn't this game been able to retain players this early after its release? Because there's nothing to it. It doesn't do a good enough job of making you want to play it over playing chess and a fighting game separately. Part of that is built into its main menu. It wants you to go to chess.com to learn how to play chess. If I'm already learning chess from chess.com, I'm probably just gonna stick to playing chess on chess.com. And I already like fighting games, so if I'm playing chess on chess.com, it gives me no reason to play the main aspect of Checkmate Showdown, so I'll go back to playing the more content-rich fighting games like Guilty Gear Plus R, or Street Fighter 6, or Tekken, or literally any other fighting game. If you are forcing me to go away from your game to play one aspect of it and learn one aspect of it, I'm just gonna become more disconnected from your game, and I already like the other aspect of the game, but I can play a more complex, more feature-rich version of it somewhere else. Checkmate Showdown gives you no reason to come back to it if you don't already come to it knowing how to play both chess and fighting games at a fairly decent level, which, as we can see by the number of people playing the game currently, isn't the case. Checkmate Showdown should have been the game that taught everyone how to play chess, because it has a fairly simple fighting game system that makes it easy to get into that mode, but it gives you nothing for the more complex version of the game. It sucks because I wanted to like this game. In fact, I like a lot of elements about it, as I hope I've made clear, but I have no reason to come back to it. If I ever feel like learning chess, I'll just go to the place that Checkmate Showdown pulled me out of their game and told me to go to. While great for people that have never played fighting games, the fighting game portion of Checkmate Showdown does not do enough to hold people in while they're forced to learn chess from somewhere else.